Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Sakana Bhavadu, Sakana Punaktu, Sakaviryam Karavavagai, Tejas Vina Navidamastuma Vidvishabhagai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskaram. So we are in the third session of Vedanta Darshana. Today when we recited the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says in the verse 32, Adhyatma Vidya Vidhyana. So he is in the knowledge, he is the supreme knowledge of the Vedanta Darshana. So when we are trying to understand what it is, we are actually living the Gita. We are taking what just now we recited to bring into our life. So we quickly have a recap of what we did in the last session. So we talked about the Vedanta Darshana. Darshana means knowledge. Vedanta knowledge is what we try to seek. And in that aspiration, we said our aim is to get fulfillment. That's not what we said. That's what we learned, that being in the Vedanta Darshana learning, one pursues towards perfection in life. This goal may not be very visible to us yet, because our goals are very different right now. But what Vedanta says is that the ultimate Purushartham for us is Mukti. And we took Mukti as liberation. We also learned very quickly to go to that path of perfection. The very assembly of devotees, seekers, aspirants, bhaktas, like assembled here, the satsang, is a very simple and elegant way to comprehend the truth. Because, as Shankara quoted, satsangatve nisangatvam. So we go towards the perfection. Then we briefly saw the power of human birth. Narajanmam durlabham. Very rare to get a human birth. And therefore, we use certain annotations from scriptures and say why this very essence of life from the time should be well spent to grab the privilege. Because the privilege that we have, the privilege comes in the form of buddhi, the intellect. With that, we should do what we are able to do. That is, to define the goal for our life. The free will is a human privilege. Only with free will you can set up your goals, and the goals can lead to progress and perfection. Then we saw, what are those goals? We said we wanted to have the basic necessities of life, and then when the necessities are fulfilled, we seek pleasures. Dehatma id bhogatma. The embodiment is to enjoy life. And we took the permission from the Vedas that yes, you can go and enjoy life. That's why Vedas provide in the Veda Purva so many karmas to make oblation to gods and to enjoy life. But then we realized in a brief study in the last session, these what is called the Purusharthas, the goals of human pursuits and the purpose, it's got two types. One is called the Dosha Rakita Purushartha. Other one is Dosha Sakita Purushartha. Sakita means towards. We saw that everything that you get in life, you need an action. The action is sadhanatrayam, we said. Your mind, your words, your body, you perform actions, you achieve things, enjoy things. But then when you come to a stage where All accomplishment has got some blemish. We saw that, what the blemishes are. Adriptikatvam, dukkhamishtatvam, bandhagatvam. It has got adripti. You can never get satisfied. You always have a tinge of sadness in everything, and it binding you. So we said, look, this is fine. We will go ahead with this pleasure-seeking life, which we call it prayers. And we come to the point that the life of prayers, the dosha sakita purusharthas, however necessary for life, is not good enough for us. Therefore, we need to remove the blemishes, go for something bigger, and that we called Shreyas. While discussing this, we use the word called samsara. Samsara comes from the word, two words. Shri means flow, sam means completely, non-stopping, a non-stopping flow of life. Bhagavan says in Gita, Jagat Chakra. It's kind of a wheel of dharma and wheel of life. It just keeps on going on and on and on. We can be part of that. We can be in prayers, provided we are free. To get freedom, we need to have prayers. That's a liberation, fulfillment, freedom. So we said, look, we wanted to have Shreyas. The Shreyas goal is called Muktihi, Moksha. This is not disembodiment. This is not death. That's not what is meant by the Vedas. This is freedom, to be free from what you're doing, performing action without binding, karma yoga, and all that kind of stuff. So we briefly look at it. Today we don't know about the liberations, but fulfillment, we all agree, we needed it. Therefore, it is worth pursuing this goal of fulfillment through Shreyas. So, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Purusharthas, all the hallmarks we saw, but we haven't defined. We can do Artha Purushartha ourselves. We know what we need in life. We can also set up our own Kama Purusharthas. But what is the Dharma, the Punya we should aim for? What's the Moksha aim that we should aim for? So we don't know how to set these goals. Even if we set the goal by the scriptures, by the teachers, by the satsang, it's not good enough to set the goal. We need to reach the goal. So how do we reach these goals? In discussing this in the last session, we used very briefly the cause of this samsara is ignorance. We did not dwell deep into this. The cure for ignorance must be knowledge. Therefore, we identified that pursuit of Vedanta Darshana, which is about knowledge, should be the right cure. At least that's what we believe right now. Therefore, that knowledge that relieves from the samsara, who gives that knowledge? When I say who, it's not just a person, but where the knowledge come from? How do we know that's the right knowledge? So these are the questions we should really... I go around these common things because when you go higher and higher, we should have complete faith in what you are learning. So everything has gone through, thought through by the seers, and they give a knowledge. Therefore, before we know what that knowledge is, how to go about doing this, we must take a step back and say, what is knowledge itself? Vedanta is quite a complex subject if you go in an intellectual way. It's the most trivial subject if you go in a, emotional freedom, with a devotion. But in both, you need to have clarity. A blind faith, because we are not dharma driven by faith. We are dharma driven by seeking, asking questions. The knowledge is the important part. Therefore, we may have to really understand what knowledge is. So we need help. So knowledge is generally what we say. is something which gives you an information. It reveals something to you, is it not? Knowledge is not acquiring something physical. It could end to a physical part of it. It's about a body of knowledge, body of an object. So every knowledge that we seek in life has got an object of knowledge. A knowledge of chemistry, knowledge of physics, knowledge of moon, knowledge of using WhatsApp. There's an aim, there's an object for it. Therefore, we collect that, we get that kind of a knowledge from many sources. Let me just take one example of sound and words. So what you see there is some gibberish text there. Does it give you any knowledge? No. But now you hear the word red. Now, if you have something about the colors before, it may give you something about it. So there is something about the color. Then there's a word called table. Again, some sort of a reflex comes into your mind. And it's the third word called flower. And you see a picture, or you see the flower itself. Now you can see this gibberish noise when it becomes a word and the context is there. You can say there's a red flower on the table. So a noise, when converted to a meaning, and the meaning has got a context, the context gives you a fact. The very word fact is based on the factoring it, because it has been factored into something, a components of the stuff that comes through. Fact doesn't need to be a truth, that's a different subject, we'll talk about it later. But a fact is the source of knowledge. Once you get a fact, it gives you an inference, an understanding of it. So in the modern world, we call it as a data. So data is anything, any such gibberish is data. But the data has to be instructionally formed into something, to form. When it is in form and it is used to inform something, it becomes information. All this you know. I try to bring it to context. So every noise in the world is a data. It has to be structured in a way. It has to have a purpose in its presentation. Then it gives you information. But where is the knowledge? Is it in the data? Is it in the information? Where is it? If information is knowledge, the Google is the master of everything today. A book is full of knowledge. A library will be all knowing everything. This is a very important insight here, because acquiring information is not acquiring knowledge. Acquiring information is acquiring a lot of noise, structured in certain form, trying to convey something which may not be really needed for your life. So when we navigate in the WhatsApp and get a lot of messages, this is why we are collecting information which of sometimes no value. It is a kama purushartha. It gives you pleasing sign, engagement, fine. But where is the knowledge? Is it in the content or in the context or in the consumer? You have to understand this. What I'm asking here is the knowledge that you get, is it in the information that you got or in the information when it comes inside you, it becomes a knowledge? I label this point because it's something that we all have to grasp. Imagine you are in a dark room. Nothing is there. Can you see anything? No. So you are there. If you put a light on, you can see there. But say there is no light. Yeah, there's no light. It's just completely dark. You don't see anything. But when the light is on, you see everything. So, did the light bring all these objects into existence? No. The objects existed all the time. The light revealed those objects to you. So existence is not challenged. The revelation has been compromised before when we were ignorance, avidya, darkness. Therefore, knowledge is it an external gain or an internal realization? Because by the light did not bring those objects, but what the light did, it removed the darkness. So the process of knowledge is about removing our ignorance about an object of knowledge. Why do we have ignorance is a very interesting question. We should do that. Ignorance is anadi. Anadi means it doesn't have the beginning. For example, you do not know anything about a particular object, and somebody tells you about the object, what it is, and you understand now. But if I ask you a question, since when you did not have this knowledge, since when you were ignorant, is there an answer for it? No. Maybe since birth, maybe before, I don't know. Not knowing something is anadi. Because it is anadi, it is always there from the beginning. To know something, we need to put an effort. The good thing is that the effort is only to remove darkness and reveal the objects like it did here. And it leads us to realization. You realize in this room I have a chair, I have this dustbin, I have these books, which all existed before. Now I ask a question now. When it is dark, did you see anything at all? Nothing. But did you not see the darkness? How did you see the darkness? If light is needed to reveal anything, how is darkness revealed to you? When you are in the room, there is no light. Do you need to know that you exist in the darkness? Do you need light to know that you exist? No. You know that you're there. So therefore, you are the light of all lights. You are the knower of all. You can see darkness, you can see ignorance, you can see the light. That is a consciousness. So this consciousness in us, to understand what it is, if it is all-knowing, why am I not aware of many things in life? Why am I suffering? Understanding this is Adhyatma Vidya. So therefore, what we take from here, the darkness always prevails. But if you really go into detail of it, actually there is no darkness at all, there is only light. See, light one cannot see. You see me now, I see your hand, the book on the table, the cup on the table, you see them because those objects exist as a media. Something to reflect the light. When there is nothing to reflect light, nothing to absorb light, nothing to contemplate on light, you will not see it. That's why when you fly to the space, when you fly towards the sun, the moment you cross the Earth's boundaries, the atmosphere, you think everything is bright? No, everything is dark. Why it is dark? Sun is there, why it is dark? Moons are there, stars are there. It's because there's nothing to reflect the light. There's nothing to resist light, nothing to consume light. So light is, in a way, darkness. Darkness is light. They are not different. That's why Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagate. How can Vishnu be just darkness and avidya? No. He's Paramajnana. That's why Shivaratri. Shivan is celebrated in the night. When you associate night to evil and ignorance, no, it is Paramashivam. It is all-knowing knowledge. But you cannot reveal that unless you have a medium that can embody, that can reflect light. We have lots of medium in us, the body, the mind. The most reflective medium is the mind. Therefore, the ever-pervading light of consciousness is also reflecting in our mind as the feeling. That's the expression that we are currently using it. It's not perfect. Take it as a feeling, understanding, awareness. There is a mind in you, the most subtlest. Anything that is fine will reflect, is it not? You can't see your face in a hard rock, but you can see it on a marble. More fine the plate is polished, more reflective it is. Therefore, if your mind can be polished so nicely, you reflect yourself into this. This is Adhyatma Vidya. So, therefore, what we have to do, our pursuit of knowledge, is not to acquire anything new, but to remove our ignorance. That's why it's called discovery. Major inventions. All the scientific laws are not invented by Newton and all the great scholars, great rishis. They discovered it. They saw it. They were rishis, seers. Einstein is a rishi. Every scientist is a rishi. Because they see what is there. How are they able to see? They discover the ignorance covering the law. Therefore, what we are pursuing is to remove our ignorance, cleaning up our house, mopping it clean. How to do that? Again, if you take the simple example of darkness and the light, switching on the light of knowledge. We have to switch on. Believe me, we don't switch on this light of knowledge. Ambal has got a name in Lalita Sakashnanam, Vidya Swarupini. Vidya Swarupini, Avidya Swarupini. Ambal is both. Ambal is everything. The God is both. Learning the Laukika knowledge. But when you come to Adhyatma Vidya, that becomes Avidya. It is needed for Dharmartha Kama Purushartha. Worldly knowledge is needed. But to have Adhyatma Vidya, you need to go to the Parama Purushartha, which is Mukti, Moksha. You have to switch on the light of knowledge, which will remove that ignorance. And when we do that, what we get is an eternal knowledge. Am I too fast in this? Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Okay. So, because there's too much to cover, so I'm just going. But if you have a question, just stop me. So, what we have come to that is that the pursuit that we are taking is to remove our ignorance. We are confident that we are full of knowledge. We are just going to find our knowledge, like a treasure that we have. And I'm making a statement here that knowledge is eternal. But I'm also making a statement, I'm telling from the scriptures, that eternal knowledge is undefinable. But we are going to use a definition for knowledge, but we'll realize it is undefinable. Then you can say, what about knowledge of this and that? Chemistry knowledge, physics knowledge, knowledge of computing. Very well defined, is it not? Yes. These are called objective knowledge. Because when you have a body, when you have a thing to know, it's called an object. It is not you, but something away from you. Any object is an object that you can see, feel, touch, experience. Again, remember this word because we will be repeating it very often. Objective approach and subjective approach. Everything that we deal in today, except those few minutes of your contemplation in the prayer room or when you sing your bhajan and you in ecstasy, you are dealing with objective knowledge, objective things in the world. Therefore, in objective knowledge, you can define a very specific knowledge domain that is definable. But that is not eternal. Why? Because it is about things that change. The modern algebra, which I studied in the 70s, is no more modern. Things change. And the chemistry which Narayanana knows in 20 years back, it will be very different now. All the subjects will change. But in simply we say, when you know something, some object, you say, I'm aware of it. Oh, I'm conscious of it. Do we say that? Generally, if you know something, yeah, I know it. I'm aware of it. I'm conscious of it. Pick up that word. Being conscious of something is objective knowledge. Imagine there is you are just conscious. Nothing about something. Or what do we call it? If I can conscious of something, there are two things exist. Consciousness exists, something exists. Do you agree? Yes. Therefore, if I just take consciousness, pure consciousness, it is not looking for anything to know, but it is the one that knows everything. It has to be eternal knowledge. It is undefinable. Do you agree?
Yes.
Everything has to be agreed, everything has to be tested. If you have doubts, we cannot progress. So that if you have some sayam, think about it, you can ask me, and whatever little I know, I'll try to share. But everything is logical. Therefore, the knowledge we are seeking is a knowledge, is not about something. Something is an object which is away from you. Therefore, the knowledge you are seeking is not away from you. So what is the knowledge then you are seeking? If it is not away from you, what is that is not away from you? That is I am. The one who is closest to you is you. So therefore, all that study you do, all that Vedas you study, all the scriptures you do, all the pujas you do, you start attaining this supreme knowledge about the self. It sounds selfish, right? No, I wanted to see God. I wanted to see Mahavishnu. I wanted to see Lord Shiva. I'm doing the puja to see Ambal. Well, all the different names to the eternal knowledge that you have inside you. We need those steps. We'll go through why we know the steps. Therefore, you have to now come to the conclusion, along with me, that Adhyatma Vidya is about removing ignorance, gaining knowledge. It is not the knowledge about the objects. Objective knowledge is needed for the worldly life. It's about the knowledge by itself, which is a consciousness, self. Therefore, that's the eternal knowledge I need. Okay. Now, how am I going to know myself? Did this question occur to anybody's mind? It should have occurred. Yes. So, yes, this question should occur. Then you are following it. But then you look at the question again. How am I to know myself? What is the important triggering word here?
My.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The moment I am looking for myself is no different to my car, my house, my wife, my children. Is it you? No. Therefore, I have to refine my search. How am I to know the self?
Yes.
Is it a better question? So it is not mine, but it is how to know the self.
That.
But then I said from the scriptures before, the eternal knowledge is undefinable. I can't know it. So even this question would put me in the important, because there are many schools and for a good intention they say 16-day course, you know the self-realization course, and you have this, do all this stuff. There may be good intention for it, but if you go there with the purpose of how am I going to know myself, how to know, looking for some miracle, some stars appearing, and then you see something happening in your mind, all that means that you are not rephrasing your questions right. You are not seeking to see myself, any belonging. I'm not trying to know something which is, because the moment you say I want to know, it becomes objective knowledge. Therefore, how do I rephrase my Purushartham? How I remind the self. You are not going to become something, but just being. It looks so simple, right? Nothing to do, nothing to think, just be yourself. But then Bhagavan says, in Karma Yoga, nobody can be without action. Action is always there. So how can I be myself in the Jagat Chakra with all the actions driving me, but still remind myself, the self? So now you can see the enormity of the problem. But rather say not a problem, enormity of the challenge. For those who are really seeking, it should really excite you. You know, it's like a playing bridge, the last trump card you're going to put in there. You want to see what it is. It is such a wonderful thing because it exhilarates you, because it is there in front of us from the day one, but nobody taught us this one. Nobody asked you to look at you. How often you look at ourselves? We don't look at ourselves because when you look at your mind, we are afraid. Because mind is a mirror. When you look into a mind, it shows our blemishes. We don't want to see. We rather put somebody else in the mind. That's why we always look for everybody's thought, everybody's news, everybody's picture, because we are happy not to see ourselves. No guilt. But if we see ourselves in the mind, the blemishes appear. But we must see, we must accept the blemishes, we must accept our ignorance, because unless you know where the dirt is, you can't put the vacuum cleaner there to suck it out. Therefore, to go to this Adhyatma Vidya, we need to really open up our mind, just for ourselves, and accept the filth and dirt in it. And there is no need to feel guilty about it. Why? Because remember, my mind is not me. Why am I guilty about it? I so happen to be in this near proximity illuminating the mind. But this mind, which I am illuminating, is full of dirt. Therefore, I direct it to go and clean it up. So that's why we need the knowledge. So what is the source and the means of this knowledge? That's the next question for us. So far we know the purpose, right? Now we need the knowledge, we need the means, and take it forward. Now we go back to the example of where we had this light, dark room. So imagine you are in the room. Now you know that to reveal things, you need to switch on the lights. So you switch on the light. Would you see everything?
Mind activated.
maybe. Light is necessary to know, to see. What happens if your eyes are closed? Would you see? What happens if your eyes are defects? Would you see?
Mind has no imagine by him.
Your mind is somewhere else in COVID-19 worries. Would you see? So it is not sufficient. Therefore, even though the pervading consciousness illuminates everything, for the humans, because we have a power of mind and therefore we have an ability to hide the all-pervading light. When Shankara said this one, and there was the Purva question this, if Paramatma is illuminating light, how can, I use the word Maya right now, temporarily, we haven't discussed this yet, how can ignorance cover that big sun? How can this all-pervading light can be covered by my own little ignorance? It can. It is not covering the illuminating light, illuminating sun. It covers your vision. I can look at the sun. I cannot cover the sun, but I can cover my eyes. I can put my finger in front of my eyes. I don't see the sun. So therefore, the ignorance that we have has to be removed. To do that, we need to use our embodiments. So therefore, God has given you the instruments for it. If you want the outside objects to be understood, knowledge needs to be gained, they need to be grasped. For the grasping, you have so many instruments, 5 in groups. Your smell, you know that the kitchen may be dark, the smell of rava upma, just enough, you know that there is rava upma at home. You don't have to see it. Sometimes you touch in the darkness, oh, this is my daughter, I know it. So you have the senses. So these objects need to be tuned. Sometimes you don't need to gain knowledge outside. It may be internal. Because you need to hear a big noise. You heard in the news yesterday is going to be a thunderstorm. Then your mind can recollect there could be a thunderstorm today. So what I'm saying is, in the pursuit of knowledge, we just cannot sit in front of the God and say, look, give me all the knowledge. It's good, you can do that. But you also have to prepare yourself, your body, mind, and your instruments. Therefore, in the Adhyatma Vidya, in the Vedanta Darshana, it is necessary that we also do certain things so that our body and minds are well tuned. Now we will, I think, for example, reciting Gita, Sahasranamam, doing puja, bhajan, satsang, helping, all this is giving you that instrument, the power to hear Adhyatma Vidya. Therefore, we should never stop. Some people, they think, oh, I got Vedanta, they are under intellectual pursuit, I don't need to pray to God, I need to do bhajan, I just go on intellectual pursuit. You will go in a dark alley. You will be an intellectual fool. But we need to be really understand the knowledge is about having our instruments in good order, Chiddaswuddhi. That's the first step. For that, there is nothing else other than Ramanama, bhajan, slogam, Samuga Seva, social service. So that part, so even though I won't talk about those things in this Vedanta Darshana, please never ever take it that it is compromised. No, it is on top of it. Because so if you do that in the knowledge part of it, this is called the whole exercise of understanding knowledge is called primiti. First, we need to have something to know. It's called prameya. We're going to touch it in the next class. I'm just giving you the headlines of it. Prameyam is something, an object of knowledge. If I want to know about this car is the prameyam. Prama means knowledge. The very word, we will discuss it in detail because it is important. To get a knowledge, the knowledge of the object is prameya. There must be a knower, somebody who is actually getting the knowledge. It is you and I right now. Let's talk about the Laukika level. Don't go to the Adhyatma level right now. Anything to know, you must be a knower. That is you and me, subject. So, called Pramatra. So, Pramatra is the one who actually knows something. And there must be a connection between these two. The instrument, source, is Pramana. Pramakaranam iti Pramana. Karanam means an instrument. See, in Vedanta, in our scriptures, everything is so finely. I was doing a bid last week about a military bid, and there's a requirement for us to put everything defined so precisely. So it was a very laborious task. But when I come back and look at the Vedanta and all the scriptural text, so precise. Everything is defined. Every word is defined. So when I say pramana, I say it's a pramakaranam. I mean, to get the knowledge. What is karanam then? Asadharana karanam karanam. In anything to done, there are many, many reasons, ordinary reasons. But what is the extraordinary reason? That is taken as the instrument of knowledge. For example, a potter makes a pot. I don't know if you've seen it in India, or even here, you see the clay, and then they take a wheel and then put the clay on it, and the pot is made. So the most important part, the asadharana karanam for the pot is the wheel. Of course, the clay is a karanam, the clay has been bought from somewhere else. That is the reason. There are so many reasons for it. There are ordinary karanam, samanya karanam. The very special reason, without which it cannot be done, is called asadharana karanam. That is called karanam. So prama karanam means for the knowledge, what is the most important instrument to give that knowledge? So therefore, what we are seeking here is called Tripudi in Vedanta. Threefold. We use a Tripudi in many, many kind of contexts. Here the context is, in attaining the knowledge, you are dealing with three things: the subject, the object, and the act of knowing. Do we know what is the object we want to know in the Adhyatma Vidya? Ourselves. But who needs to know? Ourselves. That is impossible. How can the subject be known by the subject? Therefore, Vedanta is going to give you a slightly different but beautiful step. So in the world, if you want to know everything in the world, all knowing, what all you need to know? Infinite. So, but Vedanta groups into three parts. You need to know about the world, Jagat Karanam. If there is something existing, there must be a reason why it exists. There must be a cause for it. Let's say the cause is God or Prakriti or Ishvara or nature, whatever. Let's say God. So you need to know about the God. The third thing is about yourself. So because you cannot know about yourself very easily, because subject becomes the object, it's quite difficult to comprehend. Therefore, let's understand the other two. So the Tripudi for us is Ishvara, Jagat, and Adhyatmika knowledge. And we are going to quickly get rid of two of them very quickly and focus on ourselves. There's a good reason for that. And to do that, we need to talk about three things. What is the Prameya? What's the Pramana? What's the Pramada? I think I will stop here. This would be a good place to stop. So what we have come to the conclusion today is that we are all together to pursue the knowledge, which is basically dispelling our ignorance, And to do that, we need a knowledge source. By looking at the Tripuri, we need the pramanas. Therefore, we should know what are the pramanas, why are they called pramanas, and how do we use them. Then we learned that we want to be Sarva Vigya. See, Bhagavan says in the Gita 11 sloka, what do you say? Jnana Deepam. So you want to become Jnana Deepam. Yeah. So we need to really take those three steps. So in the subsequent classes, we take them one by one. I'm packing so much into this, but I want to get into the main text at some stage so that we can start analyzing in greater details. And if you have any questions, you can ask me later or whenever there's time. So, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya.
Asadoma Sadgamaya.
Sadgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya.
Pratyoma Amritangamaya.
Mrityoma Amardam Gamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you everyone, and thank you Raja
Thank
for
you.
the very interesting talk, and actually it is just tuning us to get into the subject. So thank you very much. We are going in the right direction, I hope.
All these scholars and learned, please do correct me because I am just a novice. So any mistakes, please let me know. Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And of course, thank Mitra Seva and Raj for organizing this. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Meeting is done.